You're listening to The Power Project. I'm your host, Brandy Voth. I also like to think that I'm your guide along this journey of purpose, which is where you will hopefully end up at the end of this podcast. I'm a mom, a wife, a daughter, a friend, an entrepreneur, an advocate in the fight against human trafficking. I wear a lot of hats, y'all, but don't we all? And most importantly, I am passionate about inspiring women to go out and lead purpose-filled lives while owning your God-given power. I have this crazy belief that we are all better when we lift each other up, which is exactly why I created this platform to spotlight other women that are leading in ministry, business, and nonprofits in the hopes that you at home will be inspired by their stories to get up and take action in order to walk in purpose and own your God-given power. Without further ado, let's jump right in. Welcome back to The Power Project. I'm so excited about my guest today. I know I say that about most of my guests, but you guys, I have my first Aussie on the show, and anyone that knows me knows that Australia holds a special place in my heart. So I am thrilled to introduce you guys to Annette Brechbill. She is a spouse, a mom, an entrepreneur, and a global citizen. How many people can throw global citizen into their bio? How cool is that? So you guys do me a favor and help me welcome Annette. Hey, Annette, how are you?
Hey, Brandy. I'm doing so well this morning. Thank you so much for having me.
I'm so excited that you said yes, and I'm even more excited that my husband introduced us while you were rocking out in some 90s gear to a really fantastic band.
Oh my gosh. The Rise Conference was an incredible, life-changing event. And I leaned all the way in when they said that costumes were optional. I took that as a yes. And so I put on my best, late 80s, early 90s outfit and was rocking it out. And I so enjoyed meeting you and your husband. It was a really fun evening. Yeah. What a night.
I was personally really jealous on the outfit because I didn't even think about like doing a theme. So I was literally wearing what I had worn that day, and it was freezing that night, as you know. So I was bundled up in like a sweater and a jacket. And then I look up and I'm like, oh my gosh, look at this lady. She's got the neon and oh yeah, she is rocking it out.
It was a lot of fun. And my favorite part of my outfit, as I may love on myself a little bit, was these LED sneakers that were flashing. I don't know when I'm going to get to wear them again. Maybe I'll just wear them on any old Tuesday just to like light up my life. But how fun is it to put on different outfits and just be a different person for an evening? I adore it. I lean into any opportunity I can do it.
I love it. And I loved the sneakers. I thought they were fantastic. But it really, like, even your outfit really does speak to the energy and the vibe that we had, because even my husband is a very, he's very aware of what people think on a regular basis. And he tends to stay pretty reserved in that realm of, are people looking at me? And even he that night just kind of like let his hair down and didn't care. And everyone was so authentically themselves and having fun in a really like judgment-free environment.
I couldn't agree with you more. And I think that the 3 days that we had leading up to that was so intensive. And I mean that in a really great way, because I don't know about you and your husband, but when I first got there on the first day, I'm like, oh man, they're going to make us dance. I guess it can err a little sometimes on the introverted side. I'm like, oh, I had like a rough few days leading up to it. I'm like, gosh, I'm just going to go with this. Halfway through day one, I'm like, oh, this is something that really might be interesting. By the end of day one, I'm like, oh, I'm down for it. By the time we'd been through all 3 days, Brandy, I'm like, this is amazing. my life will never be the same. So I think that everyone in that room had somewhat of that same inclination. And I really think that added to the positive vibe that was happening around. Because when so many people are making such a huge shift in their lives, I mean, that creates its own energy force. So even like just bumping into you and your husband and having those great conversations, I'm like, dang, I really feel like I was supposed to be here in this moment meeting these people. And I'm sure you had this same sort of thing as well. Like every single person that I connected with there, I really feel like will be part of the new me moving into 2020. And there's just been so many really incredible, powerful, impactful connections made.
Yes, I 100% agree. 100%. And that was more my husband's experience. I've been to the Rise Conference Dallas. I knew what to expect. I do a lot of different conferences, and my husband was super hesitant leading up to it. He literally was just the first day I videoed him, the first time that we had to like jump up and dance because he was staring at the audience, wondering what I had gotten him into. And like you said, by day 3, he's dancing with the rest of us and having fun. And I think that people that aren't familiar with the personal development or the business development space of immersion in conferences just really don't understand until you go and you do this, because it truly is where you have 7,000 like-minded individuals. So I think oftentimes when we are working on our own thing, where we're building our own business at home, we're doing our own podcast, we're writing a book, we're whatever we are working on, I think it can tend to be isolating and lonely at times because we don't necessarily see people immediately around us that are working on the same type of things. So there's just a really beautiful freedom in coming into one place and meeting other people that understand what you do and what you're about, and which is part of the reason that you and I even connected more so than just a serendipitous meeting, clad in 1990s rock gear. But I love, I love speaking. You're a speaker's agent, and there are all of these people that we have met at Rise that I have never in my life met so many people that enjoy speaking as much as I do.
It's been incredible. And so I started a little Facebook group for the people who are in and around the speaking industry before I went down to Rise, like a few weeks before I went down to Rise, and had 30 or 40 people or so join that group beforehand. And it's now, I think, just gone over 145. And that's of people who have kind of found this Facebook group, and they're all people who are super passionate about speaking. But to sort of just echo a point that you were making as well about being in the room as a speaker's agent, it's literally my job to try and find people, the perfect speaker or facilitator or trainer, to be able to solve a problem for an audience or solve a problem in an organization or light people's hearts on fire. And so I love what I do. I love being able to connect people with that perfect person, lights a fire in my heart. But as a solopreneur who, is also a mom, who is running around town and doing so many other errands and that sort of thing, I don't often get to go to the events that I book people at. Being in the room at Rise really connected me back to the why of what I do, because every single person standing on their stage was incredible. It honestly, Brandy, was like the Olympics of speaking.
Yes, it was.
the speakers, and I came home and I was straight on the phone with a couple of like badasses that I had been doing a lot of incredible work with. I'm like, guys, the bar has just been risen. Everything that you thought was acceptable and enough in your performance, we got to turn up the volume. We got to start really drilling into your craft. And it's not just because I'm invested in their personal development, which I am. These people are my friends. And I only work with people that I truly believe in their messages for. But it was also realizing what an impact it can have on people. And I know that because I experienced it. So my opening line to the people that I called as soon as I got back, I'm like, guys, we have such an incredible opportunity to truly change some lives. Let's just do it. And let's make that the focus of our 2020, is making sure that our craft is so amazing. People can't help it but walk away a changed person, you know? So it really did sort of drill down and reconnect me with, you know, the passion and the wonderful thing that is, you know, being able to work with incredible speakers such as yourself, Brandy, who have it on their heart to really change the world.
Okay, so on that subject, I'm curious, and I, like I said, you know, most of the time you don't find people that enjoy speaking or love speaking. Actually, they said that more people are scared of public speaking than dying statistically, which is just bananas to me. But and this is an environment where there are a lot of people that like myself that really, really love speaking. And I've known since I was 9 years old. Like I've literally been giving public speeches since I was 9. It's always been on my heart. But I'm curious how you decide that you don't love speaking yourself. You don't want to be a speaker yourself, but you are truly passionate about empowering others to be these life changers and these life speakers. How did that evolution occur?
And it's so funny that you asked this question, because when I started the Rise speaking group and I was like, oh, what do you speak about? I'm like, I don't. I guess I took the Enneagram, and I am like a solid 2. So I'm like the helper.
Yep.
And so that really is me. And I enjoy making connections for people. But how I found the speaking industry is kind of a little bit of a bit of an oddball path. So my husband is in the military, he's active duty, and we were stationed in London, not exactly a hardship tour to be a diplomat in living in West London for 3.5 years. And while we were there, I was lucky enough to get a job within the embassy in the political and economic departments, helping with their visitor and event coordination, because I have a background in the travel and tourism industry, so it was a good fit for me, and I'm a people person. And so I did that for 3 years. It was an incredible job. Did 23 secretaries of state visits, did the G8 that went back when we had a G8, the NATO meetings, G8 foreign ministers meetings, presidential visits, doing all of that kind of coordination. And I loved it. And I loved the chaos that it is working those types of events. But what truly was the most wonderful thing is that every time someone needed something in the embassy, they needed an extra hotel room somewhere, or they needed like the reservation in like this fancy hotel. Like I had a lot of connections around London, and I could make it happen. And I realized that what really sets my heart on fire is like just being that connector. It's like you ask me something, sure, I can fix that. I've got that perfect person for you. And I'm great at network building and relationship building, and being able to match people with the person who can help them out with their solution. So I had a great reputation for that. And as we came back to the DC area, I now live in Arlington, Virginia, And I thought, well, I really enjoyed that job. So I kind of was on Indeed.com and I plugged in, a few different like random words like travel and government and events. And so in the list that came up, the jobs that came up was a job at Washington Speakers Bureau. And I'm like, well, hey, I wonder what this company is. I had no idea that it's one of the biggest speaking bureaus in the world and represents former presidents, prime ministers, a lot of huge business leaders, political pundits, military leaders. And so I was very fortunate to secure a job there. And while I was at Washington Speakers Bureau, I managed a portfolio of 40 of their exclusive speakers. And I guess because I have a funny accent, Brandy, they gave me everyone else with a funny accent, which included French presidents, British prime ministers, a couple of random Aussie prime ministers as well, a few other European world leaders as well. And I guess because my husband's in the military, they gave me a lot of the former 4-star generals and admirals that were represented at WSB as well. And including that, like a lot of like really incredible people who it's such an odd thing to be on a first name and friendly basis with someone who used to run a country. Incredible people like Arianna Huffington, who would call me, is like, Annette, are you sleeping? How are you sleeping? I'm like, yeah, sure. Good, Arianna. How are you? I just want to talk to you about this one deal. So it was an incredible job, but the burnout was kind of epic. And when you're working in an organization that is so affected by the drumbeat of the news that none of us have any control over, it was an incredibly stressful situation. So as a mom of 3 kids, I decided that that 24/7 being on and taking on a lot of that pressure kind of wasn't for me, because again, I'm an Enneagram 2, so I absorb a lot of other people's problems. So, if that's called a lack of resiliency, I don't know. Maybe I just have to own that. But absorbing that kind of emotional energy from those sort of people just was not a good fit for me. So I left there, and I decided to start my own speaking industry, like speaking representation and consultancy company, because I really enjoyed it. And I knew that if I could connect with the right people who absolutely align with the way that I want to do business, the way that I value family and time and good vibes and making a positive impact on organizations and on the world, that really is what I wanted to do. And while I was going through sort of my metamorphosis or so last summer, and this is going to be pretty funny. Brandy, are you a fan of 90s hip hop?
I mean, yes. Is a pig's butt pork?
Yes, girls. So this is going to resonate with you, because some people think it's a little bit wacky, right? So I'm sitting around, I'm like, I've left my job, and I'm like, I don't really know what I want to do. I think I want to do this speaker representation thing, but I'm not so sure. And then I'm watching HBO's docu-series, The Defiant Ones. Are you familiar?
I've heard of it, but I have not watched it.
Girl, do yourself a favor. It's pretty incredible. So it's basically about Jimmy Iovine and Dr. Dre, right?
Okay.
And so it starts out with talking a lot about how Jimmy Iovine became Jimmy Iovine and his incredible, tenacious work ethic right from the very start. Didn't rely on, a huge amount of family wealth, but had family support, didn't have much of an education, but was so willing to learn and get in the trenches and do the hard hours. And that's really how he got his start. And then he meets, so he creates this mini empire of himself, and then he meets Dr. Dre, and NWA, and it's all about how there is the innovator and the elevator. And I'm thinking, well, I don't want to be Dr. Dre. That's not really on my heart, but I sure as heck want to be Jimmy Iovine. That is a role that I can see. And in the very last episode of the four-part documentary is he's talking about how he's at his house on the beach in Malibu, obviously. This is Jimmy Iovine, and Dr. Dre's walking past. As you do, I guess. That's just how they live their lives. And he's like, Jimmy, like there's this sneaker company and they want me to put my name on shoes. I've never really put my name on anything and I don't really know what to do. Should I take this deal? It just doesn't feel right. And Jimmy's gone, no, Dre, you don't sell sneakers, you sell speakers. All kinds of speakers. And I'm like, that's me. I sell speakers. All kinds of speakers. And that's how Beats by Dre was born, right?
Oh my gosh.
So really, I'm like, I was meant to watch this documentary. And still, if I'm having like, what am I doing here? This is really hard. I'm like, no, what would Jimmy Iovine do? He sells speakers, all kinds of speakers. So
that is like the epitome of greatness right there.
I mean, so that's why I still have it on my heart to support people through their speaking journey. And it really does light a fire with me. I can't imagine feeling any more on fire or grateful during an event than to be that person who's gone, no, you know what? You can do this. You can get on this stage. You can nail this. Let's change some lives. And that brings me joy. I don't need to be on the stage to be able to get that kind of fire.
I love that. I love the analogy of the innovator and the elevator. I love the example of Jimmy Iovine and Dr. Dre. I mean, I'm pretty sure the target audience here is going to greatly appreciate that story. And I'm curious, so you've worked with, like you said, crazy well-renowned speakers. And by the way, I was an international studies major that did a lot of work with United Nations and diplomats and foreign service. And so I totally get everything that you're saying. And I think that was a really just must have been the most impactful 3 years of being there and all of that. And then going on to work with world leaders. Hey guys, do you have a call on your heart to be a speaker? Do you have a message that you are really, really eager to share with the world, but do you just not know where to start and how to get that out into the world? I firmly believe that we all have a story to share, and it just takes some guidance from someone along the way to help us best craft that story and share it with the world. I enjoy helping people learn how to give a really impactful speech. And for that reason, I've created a power speech guide. You can download it over at the-powerproject.com, Power Speech. And it's going to be a step-by-step guide that walks you through crafting a really impactful speech that reaches your audience and delivers your message in the clearest way possible. So go check that out, the-powerproject.com, Power Speech. I'm also going to attach it in the notes. Hey guys, are you on the email list? Are you getting my weekly newsletters where I wrap up what we've chatted about on the podcast, as well as what I have going on in life, well, guess what? You should be. Because in case you didn't know, I have a book coming out soon, and you're going to want to be one of the first people to find out about that. So in order to stay on the list with the rest of the cool kids, you can head over to the website, the-powerproject.com, subscribe to the newsletter, and you'll never have to miss out on any of the inside secrets ever again. Also, are you looking to create your very own newsletter? Are you wanting to amp up your email marketing tactics? Maybe you have no idea where to start. Maybe you're not sure how to even create a really nice looking email or how to get it on a system where it isn't completely time consuming each and every single week to update your audience. You're going to want to check out Flowdesk. That is the new platform that I'm using to host my email marketing. And you guys, it is a game changer. I can't even tell you how beautifully crafted the email templates are over there, or how completely easy it is to use that program. I'm loving it. I've been sending out emails like crazy to my network with Flowdesk. And trust me when I say anyone can use it. It is a step-by-step guide. You're going to absolutely love it. Plus, with my discount code, you're going to save 50% off when you do sign up for Flowdesk. So you're going to get a month for free, and then you can get 50% off after that by using discount code POWERPROJECT. So that's flowdesk.com with the code POWERPROJECT. But I'm curious, just out of pure personal curiosity, out of all of your speakers that you have worked with or heard from a stage or seen craft the art, do you have one person that sticks out as the single most impactful speaker that you have witnessed or had the privilege of knowing?
Oh, gosh. Oh, I mean, it's like asking me to pick a favorite child. Like, deep down, we kind of all have an answer, but we don't want to offend anyone. And it changes from week to week and day to day, right? I can say that. Anyone else who's a mother of a 3, you know that's true. Come on.
Yeah, no, I totally understand.
But I do have an answer for that. So I had the privilege of working with a lot of military leaders, which used to freak my husband out, because my husband is a lieutenant commander, which, you know, it's a decent sort of rank, but when a former 4-star admiral calls your wife at 10 o'clock at night and is calling her by her first name, it freaks them out a little. The most impactful speaker that I've seen there stand, deliver, make people cry and change lives is absolutely Admiral McCraven. And his background is as a Navy SEAL, and he's been involved in some pretty incredible missions. And he was involved with the rescue of Captain Phillips, of Jessica Buchanan, who was being held by Somali pirates under a tree for nearly 2 months. He was part of the team that helped capture Saddam Hussein, and he was also the SEAL the person in charge of getting the mission approved and actually being there to make sure things ran well when they eliminated Osama bin Laden. So he has some incredible stories, but here's the key. He's not telling the "so there I was" stories and, you know, having these heroic moments where he comes out to be the hero. What he does is he pulls out of those events, which most people, if you're going to hear him speak, you know how it ended and you know what happened. What you don't know is the stories of the people that were going through and delivering on those missions. And he does it in such a way where it's not like, "oh, feel sorry for me." It's not always holding people up on a pedestal of these people are invincible. He has an incredible art of being able to pull pieces from stories that just seem so far removed from your everyday life and giving you a takeaway that you can implement in your own life. And he does it better than anyone I've ever seen. And he walks the stage and he pauses at the perfect moments and he pulls people into the audience. And if you do not have a tear in your eye when you are listening to Admiral William McCraven, I don't know what's wrong with your soul. I don't know what happened there. He just really does it better than anyone I've ever seen. So it's a great lesson that I always share with people. You can't just have an incredible life event and have that be your talk. You have to make it relatable to everyone who's listening. And you have to give people a piece that they can connect with, that they can implement into their own lives, because it's not about you, it's about them. They're people. So that's how I always use him as the gold standard, especially for people who've had like significant life events, on how they can really turn it into a talk that can really impact people's lives.
And if anyone would like to, if you haven't seen that video, I highly recommend you go pull up. There's a Goalcast video that's a little abbreviated version of the speech by General McCraven. It is, if you want to change the world, start off by making your bed. It's available on YouTube or Goalcast. And I think that for anyone curious as to what makes him, out of all the people that Annette has worked with, just really elevated, you can see his stage presence, his delivery, the emotion he brings to the audience, the way he connects with his listeners. Check that video out. By the way, you're also going to be super inspired to legit go change the world. So yeah, check that out. I think you're correct. I think he's a great presenter. Now I want to, so we've talked about your background and your passion for speaking, but I know that you really love really showing people how to make an impact with speaking. And you really love explaining to people the importance of speaking. So if you want to, for just a few moments here, however much time you would like, if you'd like to just kind of speak on one of your favorite topics, you've got the floor and my audience is yours.
Well, thank you. Thank you. I love the impact that speaking can make. And I have the privilege to talk to a lot of people who are in all different stages of their speaking career. Some people who are just like, oh my gosh, how do I even get started with this? And they may have one or two reasons. Either they have to do it or they want to do it. But either way, they kind of are going through it. To people who may be looking to build this out into a more solid piece of their portfolio of business, right up to people who are making a significant, very comfortable living from standing on a stage and sharing their hearts and their messages with people. And the one thing that I want to sort of encourage people to think about, regardless of where they are on that journey, is looking beyond just the payment of a speech. So I am a speaker's agent, and I predominantly work with people who are regularly getting paid to speak, up into like the tens of thousands is normally where I push my speakers. And when people speak to me, I can hear it in their voice that they don't really feel like they're going to get there, or they don't really want to get there, and they think it's all a waste. And what I want to let people know is that a speech can be valuable in a lot of different ways. Now, if it can be valuable, and it's totally possible to be valuable, that you have a contract for you standing on that stage and delivering that keynote, rock on, fantastic. Keep on asking for that money, keep on polishing your craft, improving your craft, And then you can start raising your fee and have that be the part of your portfolio of business. If that's not you, totally fine. Don't feel discouraged, because by standing on that stage, every single time you do it, you're getting better. Whether you like it or not, you're learning something about yourself. You're learning something about your craft, and you'll be able to start taking off those rough edges from your performance. So definitely always see it as valuable. And every time you're standing on stage, you are sharing your hearts with people, so more people are going to remember you. So you can raise your profile for a business that you're trying to create. Maybe it is a life coaching session. I know a lot of the audience has a non-for-profit that they are either managing or involved with. And isn't it worth it for you to be there to just let one more person know about that wonderful mission that you have? So I always want to encourage people to share their hearts and just let the value that comes from that come from that, and step away from like putting too much pressure and expectation on yourself that if you're not getting paid to be there, then it's worthless. It's so far from the truth, so far from the truth. And I think that, even if it's just the experience and giving one person something to think about, it's totally worth it. And you should keep doing it. Absolutely.
And I think that is advice that a lot of times people tend to either A, overlook, or B, jump the gun and think they need to go from point A to point Z overnight. I know you and I have talked before. I cannot count how many free speaking engagements I've given in my lifetime. I have been the girl that I truly have a passion for it. And if you needed a speaker, I have always been your girl. And I love serving the cause. I love sharing my mission. And I think that sometimes people, like I said, they want to jump the gun. And are you familiar with Christy Wright? She's in the Dave Ramsey group. She does the business boutique boot camps. Have you ever heard of her?
I'm vaguely familiar with her. Her name sounds familiar, but I'm not intimately understanding her work.
Okay. So she's a business coach for predominantly female entrepreneurs, and kind of her theme is work-life balance. And she and I was chatting with her at an event that she had spoken at. And this was around the time where I realized I had really stifled my own gifting for several years. And while I was doing speaking trainings and business presentations, I wasn't really sharing heart and purpose and mission that I wanted to be sharing with others. And she and I were chatting, and I said, listen, I've been speaking all my life. I love speaking. I love pouring into an audience. I'm trained at the collegiate level, and it also comes naturally. What do I do? What next step do I take? And she said, you say yes to anyone that wants you to speak about anything right now. She's like, as long as you have a relevant theme that you can apply to your presentation, show up and speak on any stage that they will give you. And I think you're saying the same, that the value of being able to connect with that audience, being able to promote your mission or your cause or your heart with the audience, that is so valuable. And like you said, you're crafting your skill, you're learning, you're getting better. So I think that people sometimes think that they have to have the paycheck right off the bat. And kind of like Rachel Hollis says, don't compare your beginning to someone else's middle or someone else's end. Just be where you are and do what you have. Now, on the subject of the crafting, and whether it's the people that have it on their heart or they are kind of thrown into the arena of speaking, what do you offer a person? What do you recommend to a person that, let's say, does not have speaking on their heart. They don't want to be a speaker, because we've spoken to the speakers. First rule of thumb, go speak, go craft your skill, get on a stage. But let's say we have some of our listeners that are in the nonprofit space, or they have created a business. They're whatever area they're in. I personally believe that you need public speaking in any area that you could ever possibly imagine. But they're now finding themselves having to speak about their cause, their mission, their project, and they are not speakers and they don't have it on their heart. What steps do you tell someone to take in that place?
That's a great question. And I think that it really comes back to why you're doing this. Like as a mom, like if I don't want to do it for me, I'll do it for my kids. And I think that really drilling down into what is the purpose and the positive impact that will come from me doing this one thing. And then every time you feel like you're taking a slight step to the side, go, is this getting me towards this goal? And so if you can't do it for yourself, do it for your organization. Do it for the impact that you know you're going to have on one particular audience. And also, don't overthink it. You know, I don't know that anyone has actually passed away from standing on a stage. It might feel like you're going to at times, and that's totally normal. That's totally normal. But it's going to be okay. And when you have those moments of panic, turn it into excitement and reconnect with your why. And just hold your nose, just run in and do it.
Yes.
And you'll be surprised when you are showing up with that kind of excitement. It will translate into your performance. And guess what? If the audience is enjoying it and you get that positive feedback from them, you might even start to, well, maybe you won't love it, but maybe you will see a little bit of sparking and exchanging of joy between you and the audience.
Yes.
So that's what I would say, is connect with your why and your purpose.
I think that's great. And I think that, like you said, if you can just remember why you're doing it, if you can, Mel Robbins even says, she talks about the only difference between nerves and excitement is what we label the emotion, because our body physically responds the same way to anxiety and nerves as it does to excitement. So every time that you're finding yourself feeling super anxious, super nervous, just tell yourself you're so excited over and over and over again, and take the stage. And I love seeing someone that was really nervous about presenting. I love seeing someone practice and take the stage and present, and then have the audience feedback and see them realize they've accomplished their mission. They have brought their story to the platform, and it really is a great feeling. So I can imagine that you feel like a proud mama on a regular basis when you accomplish that with a speaker. Now, if people want to, so I want everyone to know how to get in touch with you, because there are a lot of people that don't even know exactly what a speaker's agent is, what they do, how they serve people. So if people need to get in touch with you, who should be looking to contact with you, and how can they find you?
That's a great question. Thank you so much. So people who I serve as my customers are people who are running events. They are involved with organized like corporations or associations, or any type of group that needs to have an external keynote speaker, a breakout speaker, someone to come in and do some training with them for their event. And the value of working with a speaker's agent is that you can call or email me, and you tell me exactly what it is that you're looking for. Say, hey, Annette, I our company is going through all of this change and people are really upset and they're nervous and they don't really know how to deal with change. I've got this half-day offsite coming up, or I've got this event coming up. Can you find someone to come in and give people some strategies on how to deal with change? I've got you. So I will go away and check some calendars and put together a proposal and really think about the missions of your company or your organization, come back to you with a proposal of speakers for you to consider. We'll have a bit of a chat about who might be the best fit for you. You can take it through to your board, chat it through with your colleagues, say, hey, Annette, that Brandy girl, I think she's going to be perfect. I'm like, great, wonderful. I then take care of all of the contracting for you, work with the speaker to make sure all of their travel is arranged, take care of all that busy money stuff, and make sure everyone gets everything that they need on time, and also prepares you and the speaker to be able to really connect, exchange ideas. So when that speaker comes in, they're fully ready, fully prepared to be able to blow your audience away, to be able to make that change in your organization, to be able to lift the mood and get people going for their goals or speaking with their hearts. So that's really the people that I would love to get in contact with me. Now, you can go to my website, which is brechbillgroup.com. That's BRECHBILL group.com. I have a list of 6 speakers that I work with on a regular basis, but about 30 or so % of my work is with speakers who are not on my representation. So what I always aim to do is find the event the perfect speaker or facilitator or trainer. I'm not going to try and shoehorn someone in there just because they happen to be on my roster. No, I'm not going to do that to you. I value the change that's going to happen in your organization. So jump on my website, check out me. You can also email me at Annette@brechbillgroup.com. Again, Brechbill, it's kind of a tricky one to spell. It's BRECHBILL group, all one word, .com. And I look forward to serving your audience.
Awesome. And I will post all of that in the show notes. Also, if you guys, if you are even an up and coming speaker and you're not regularly booking the large figure gigs, I do recommend that you go find Annette on social media. Do you connect on social media like that, Annette?
Yeah, LinkedIn is kind of my main jam, and you can just search my name, Annette Brechbill. I do consultancy for people who are in the speaking industry. And my niche of consultancy is people who are already getting paid to speak and around about the 10K range that want to expand what they're doing as far as their speaking goes. I also do some consultancy for people who are, just wanting to get paid at all. I do some consultancy for that as well, or keynote reviews, because if I've seen a keynote, I've seen 1,000 of them, and I can sort of help you pick out the pieces of the keynote and package it in such a way that will have more commercial interest for you if you're looking to expand the portion of your business. I also have a pretty badass portfolio of friends and affiliates and things that I can recommend you to. So if you are a speaker and you connect with me and I'm like, you know what, I probably could help you with this, but I've got a friend who specializes in this, I'm going to refer you over to my friend so you can get the help that you need. What I never want to do is take money from people if I feel like I'm not the best person to be able to help them. But I do have a pretty badass network of people who specialize in lots of different things around the speaking industry. So I'm so happy to point you in the right direction.
Yes, I will totally vouch for that. She has a wealth of resources. And like she said, they're the big hitters, you guys. So Annette, thank you so much for your time, like taking your time out today and chatting with me and the audience. It's been lovely to get to know you better and and share your mission with my listeners.
Brandy, thank you so much for having me. Our one random dance together in 90s regalia on the dance floor down in Charleston, I'm sure will be the beautiful start of a long friendship. And I value your time, and thank you so much for having me on your podcast and being able to speak to your beautiful audience. I appreciate you. Thank you.
Absolutely. And if I ever find myself doubting whether I can move forward with a project, I'm just going to think, what would Jimmy Iovine do?
Yes, girl, yes. Because Jimmy's not waiting for validation. Oh, no. He's just going.
Oh man, you guys, my favorite part about this show is the amazing women that I get to meet every single week. I love hearing their stories, and I love bringing their stories to you guys. I certainly hope that you're inspired to go out and lead your own purpose-filled lives after listening to these guests week in and week out. If you are inspired by something you've heard in the show, can I ask a favor? Can you go please write a review? Make sure you're subscribed to the podcast. Give us a rating. We'll take 5 stars if you're feeling generous. And then tell all your friends about us so that we can continue to bring you these guests. And by the way, are you hanging out with us on Instagram? Because you should be. It's at @the_power project. Check us out. As always, I hope that you enjoyed this show, and I cannot wait to chat with you next week. But until then, you guys go out and lead your best purpose-filled lives.